I just saw the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and I've got to say, Nintendo fans, we have to talk. Also, my cat Mortimer is sitting on my lap. He's here because he loved the first Super Mario movie, because Mario turned into a cat. He didn't do that in this movie, though. That's not what we're here to talk about, because they did turn into a lot of stuff. So, you know, they had the cat people taken care of, but they needed frog people. Now you just spread the love around. But no, the Super Mario Galaxy movie just came out. It is Friday night when I'm recording this. It has already made $100 million just from Wednesday and Thursday. That is an incredible amount of money. This movie is going to make $1 billion easily, maybe $2 billion. And the first Super Mario Brothers movie was also incredibly successful. It made a lot of money. I talked about it on this channel and on my podcast, Mostly Nitpicking. My thoughts overall were, I think it was kind of messy, not necessarily for me, but I get it. And the critical response to that one was okay. I think it's sitting around a 60 on Rotten Tomatoes currently, which isn't the end-all be-all, but like, it's not great, but it's not terrible. However, Super Mario Galaxy got a slightly different reception, around 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't a humongous difference, but what feels different is the reviews were so much meaner. Not all of them, but the ones where people really didn't like the movie. They gave it 0 stars. Some people even said it's worse than AI, which, I mean, put everything else aside. Nothing with Luis Guzman is worse than AI. A reviewer in the Times, which is a London paper, not the New York Times, but, you know, a paper, said, "The film is torturous to sit through, and for me provoked periods of actual physical discomfort. I had to stab myself repeatedly in the hand with a pen to distract from the howling distress. It's that bad and that offensive." So like I said, I saw this movie. I understand what this guy is talking about is quite bad. I think the plot is really a mess. That being said, this movie is gorgeous. The design is incredible. The virtual camera work is incredible. The fight scenes are incredible. The music in the score is so powerful, and that's coming from someone who, admittedly, not a big Super Mario guy, so I don't recognize all the songs. This isn't just me going, oh, I know that song, and that's why I like it. I like it because it's a catchy song, and it's played on a big orchestra, and that's cool. There are good things about this movie. I think giving it a 0 is a little much. However, as a fan of other stuff, I wanted to offer you something, Nintendo fans, because I've been a fan of superheroes, comic books, all that stuff my whole life, and I've seen it rise from like something that was kind of popular, especially with kids, to a mainstream thing that everybody took seriously and became like the dominant force in pop culture for a while. I wouldn't say it still is, but I also don't think anything's really replaced it. I think everything's kind of separated a little bit. But like, I watched that happen over my lifetime. We got pretty lucky. Sure, they made some bad Batman movies along the way. They made a bad X-Men movie every 3 movies, but a lot of them were good. The Spider-Man movies were good. There were ones that were kind of a mess, like Daredevil, but were still fun. They had a little bit of charm. So I know, you know, comic book fans, we're lucky. But this is what I want to say. This is the message I want to impart. And I've seen a lot of fans of Mario from, I would assume, the games, perhaps the new games, but perhaps the older games. Maybe you love the Mario Legos. Maybe you love the games Mario ends up in, like Super Smash Brothers or the Mario and Sonic Olympic games. Whatever it is. But I've seen a lot of fans of Mario reacting to the incredibly negative reviews from the critics and saying something along the lines of, whatever, it's a kid's movie. It's fun, it's bright, it's colorful, it shows the characters I like. What's so wrong with that? And to that I say, and this is the message, right? You deserve better. The frustrating thing about Super Mario Brothers, the first one, well, not the original one with Bob Hoskins, but the most recent first one, is that it did feel like it almost had a coherent story, and like it almost worked as a movie. And what I mean is, you could take all the Mario dressing off of it and just turn it into a story about a guy who goes to a place and does a thing, right? I think that movie is kind of watchable. I think there's certain decisions the movie makes that are pretty weird, and like I said in my video, however long ago, a lot of them come from the fact that it seems like the characters in the Super Mario Brothers movie know what Super Mario Brothers is, so they're like, well, you have to obviously go do this because you're Mario, and it's like, well, why not? Come up with a reason, any reason why it has to be him that's doing this thing. Anyway, you know, I compared it to the Lego movie because those movies are similar, and also Chris Pratt's the main guy in both. But I don't think that is true of this movie. I don't think this movie has an almost plot. I think this movie is incredibly messy. It goes everywhere. There's no character arcs. There's very little character consistency scene to scene. And this movie is going to make $1 billion, maybe $2 billion. It's going to be an enormous hit. And because of these super negative reviews, Nintendo fans may want to say, well, listen, it's not the worst movie in the world, but we actually kind of liked it. say that, sure, that's fine. You can like it. If you liked it, you liked it. But if you acknowledge the flaws, the character development, the plot nonsense, they just go to a planet and become babies for a scene, and then they're not babies anymore. Like, not to spoil the movie, but they do a little Baby Mario bit, and it's so inconsequential that I don't even think Princess Peach ever finds out about it. It wouldn't matter if she did, but I don't think she does, even though she's right over there. But what I want for fans of the Nintendo movies is I want better Super Mario movies. I think you deserve a good Super Mario movie. You deserve what we have had, what Spider-Man fans had recently with Into the Spider-Verse, right? One of my favorite things to do as a fan of comics and comic book movies is go to someone I know who typically does not watch those movies and say, listen, I know this usually isn't your thing, but this one's good. You're going to like this one. And more than that, if you watch this, I think you'll get it. I think you'll understand what I think is so fun about this. There's something you do with these movies that are genuinely good. With Into the Spider-Verse, with a Logan, with a Guardians of the Galaxy. Everyone should be able to enjoy this movie because why not? It's a kids movie, but kids movies get enjoyed by everybody all the time. K-Pop Demon Hunters came out last year and it was an enormous hit, and I thought it was great and kids thought it was great. Same is true for the Lego movie, for the Puss in Boots sequel from a couple years ago. Like, a movie aimed primarily at kids does not have to be bad. And people say, well, you wouldn't say this about like Cocomelon or something like that. Why are you holding kids' things to this standard? This isn't also aimed at kids. This is aimed almost exclusively at kids. And I would say that could be true, but then what's this frog doing here? The frog is not a character a kid would know. He's from Super Mario Bros. 2. Maybe he's had some other appearances, but the joke of him and why he is in this movie with Birdo is that those were two characters that were introduced in Super Mario Bros. 2, and it was kind of weird because every other one of these games has Bowser, but this one had that frog. I think it had to do with some sort of localization issue or maybe a copyright thing. I'm not sure exactly why. And I remember I played that one. That's one of like the 3 of these games that I have played. I played that, I played Super Mario Galaxy, and I played one of the Paper Marios. And obviously I played way too much Super Smash Brothers. So like that's the thing, if anything here, that I do kind of care about. But also, like, I never played a Zelda game. I got about 10 minutes into a Metroid game before I got bored. I enjoyed Star Fox, to be fair, that was fun. And then played Kirby game, and yeah, I was raised on Pokemon like everybody else in the 90s. But I guess this is a tangent to the idea, the frog is here. The frog from Super Mario Bros. 2. If this is not a movie that is supposed to appeal to everybody, if this is just a kids movie, only for kids, what's he doing there? What's the point? It's a joke for the adults. We're supposed to think that's funny. And we do. It's kind of funny to see him and see that he exists in this world as well. But then if that's what we're doing, if we're gonna add things that are for adults, let's make it good, because kids enjoy good things too. They don't enjoy all good things. I wouldn't expect them to get, like a Hamlet play, but they get The Lion King, because you can take the kids movie and very cleverly add themes and add things to it. It doesn't have to be this hollow shell. And it really annoys me now, and I'm thinking about it, because like I said, this movie is gorgeous and it sounds amazing. So many people, so many animators worked on this movie. It's probably going to be one of the most expensive movies of the year, and the story's not good. The opposite wouldn't make sense, right? We can't have a movie that's plotted really well and like has a really good story, but the animation's just bad, right? Like, we wouldn't accept that. We would go like, listen, at least get some money and make it a little bit better than this. But for some reason, and I think because of this negative reaction, fans have kind of gotten defensive of the movie. What I'm begging of the fans is like, don't let Nintendo and Illumination think that this is good enough. And people have said, well, it's Mario. Mario's not supposed to have a story. There's no story in Mario. Why would they have to make a story for this movie? And I'd say, hey, you still can. Legos don't have stories. They figured one out. And also, like, this does not need to be incredibly subversive. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, because I do think one of the things that's really awesome about the Lego movie is how it subverts certain tropes and like plays with the idea of the chosen one, prophecies and stuff like that. But like, I think a movie that has a real ABC plot can also be great. Like, the plot of K-Pop Demon Hunters is pretty predictable, but that doesn't make the movie bad. It's coherent, and that's what you need. For people that say like, well, it's Mario doesn't have a story. So I would say this, I'd say, well, okay, well, what happens when they make a Star Fox movie? Or a Zelda movie, like a Legend of Zelda movie? I know they're making a live action one, but also what happens when they make an animated one? And that gets a ton of money thrown at it. Like, there are Nintendo games and characters that have stories, and that's part of what's fun about them. And I think if fans settle for movies like Super Mario Galaxy, why would Nintendo and Illumination do anything different? When they make a Star Fox spinoff, why wouldn't they put as much effort into the story, right? It's gonna make $1 billion, $2 billion. So that's why all I'm saying, Nintendo fans, you can enjoy this movie and that's fine. I'm happy for you. But I think it's important to acknowledge its shortcomings so that in the future, the studio is able to make movies that are good, that are like just flat out good movies. The Super Mario Galaxy movie could win an Oscar if it was good, because the animation is spectacular. If it had a story that was workable, it would be great. And you, Nintendo fans, you deserve great. Also, someone could explain this to me. I was under the impression Nintendo is very precious with their IPs. They don't just let anybody make a Mario movie or a Zelda movie or whatever. Why don't they care about this? Why don't they care about like the quality? Is it just the money? Is it like a cultural change where there's a new CEO and they're like, we're going full gusto, we're selling out, baby? Like, I kind of expected better. And I think Super Mario Galaxy was an opportunity to make a better movie, and it's not. But whatever this next one is, which I assume will have to be called Super Mario Odyssey because they skipped World and now we're so high up, I don't know where they can go. I mean, they can make a Super Smash Brothers movie, but they say they're not going to do that, but they are. But I want that to be good. I want that to be a great time at the movies. Because fans of Nintendo whose lives have been shaped by the games made by this company deserve a good movie. An unapologetically good movie. At least, I think you deserve a good movie. Hopefully Nintendo and Illumination do too. Like I said, I'm lucky. I love comic books. I love the X-Men. I've got unopened X-Men action figures right over my shoulder. While some of those movies are bad, a bunch of them are really good. And that reminds me actually of a video I watched recently by Lindsay, one of my favorites. I'm sure you've heard me talk about her before. And the video is called Trying to Make Sense of the X-Men Cinematic Universe Timeline. And it's Lindsay and Angelina going through all of these Fox X-Men movies, trying to figure out what the timeline is, how they all relate to each other, because there's this very complicated continuity that seems to exist between the movies that only gets worse as the movies go on. But it's also kind of admirable. Like, it's fun to look at how they tried to connect it to itself. And I love the Fox X-Men movies, so I'll listen to anybody talk about the Fox X-Men movies. And you can watch that video, along with all my videos, early and ad-free, on Nando V Movies and the Nando Cut, along with tons of other exclusive videos on this video sponsor, Nebula. Nebula is, say it with me, a subscription streaming service that I and a bunch of other really cool people helped create. Nebula has evolved so much over the last 7 years. Sure, you can still watch all my videos early and ad-free. You can watch videos by a bunch of other creators you probably already love. But one of the most exciting things about Nebula is our original programming. Tom Scott has a new series called England, where he goes to every English county to find something interesting. Did you check out this first episode where Tom Scott goes to Leicestershire and he visits a bell making factory? You see the entire process, learn how bells are made, and it is not how you would expect, especially since this bell making factory is hundreds of years old and they're still working with some of the same techniques from a century ago. Tom Scott even gets to use a sledgehammer to break one of the bells a little, because shockingly, it's hard to do. It's hard to use a sledgehammer to break an enormous bell. And each episode of England is going to be on Nebula for a week before it goes anywhere else. On top of that, we got a series that I love watching called Abolish Everything, where someone, maybe a comedian, maybe another YouTuber, makes an argument for something that should be abolished. They state their case, they make a very funny PowerPoint, the political establishment gets to weigh in, and then the audience decides what deserves to actually be abolished. This week they did the championship for the second season. They had a ton of really funny people on it. I've never been on that show, maybe sometime in the future. I think I'd be a fun abolitionist. And then later this year, although hopefully not too much later, Nebula's first original dramatic scripted series, Subliminal, comes out with the episode that I wrote, which I cannot wait for you guys to watch. Nebula is the best way to support all of the creators you already love and all the creators you don't know you're gonna love, but then you're gonna love them when you see them on Nebula. You can also download the videos to your phone, which saves you data when you're not at home. And there are not AI videos on Nebula, so this isn't gonna be like YouTube where you go on and you watch a video in a minute or two and you're like, something's off here, and then you realize like, oh, this video is AI. Which happens on YouTube and other platforms way more than I would like to admit. Nebula, we all got real stuff made by real creators, and that's why it's great. And a year of Nebula is already a steal at $60 a year, $5 a month. But if you go to go.nebula.tv/thenandocut, you can get a year of Nebula for just $30. That is $2.50 a month. It is an amazing deal. Again, go to go.nebula.tv/NandoVMovies to check it out. So thank you for watching this video. That's all I got. Stay safe. I'll see you around.